Former President Trump today toggling between the courtroom and the campaign trail, this after securing a key victory in Iowa. His competitors now vying for another shot in New Hampshire. Joining us live now is NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao.
Former President Trump will be campaigning in New Hampshire tonight, where he says a big crowd is waiting. But that's after he spent his morning and early afternoon at a courtroom in New York, where a jury will decide whether he has to pay former magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll for defamation over denying her allegations about sexual harassment. Trump has denied any wrongdoing in that case and has said that he doesn't even know who Carroll is. Meanwhile, Trump this afternoon went on a posting spree on Truth Social, saying this is another witch hunt, especially given the fact that it comes right after the Iowa caucus yesterday and just ahead of the New Hampshire primary set for next Tuesday. Meanwhile, in New Hampshire, recent polling has shown that Nikki Haley is eating into Trump's lead. But Trump actually won by a record margin here in Iowa last night, as we know, leading both Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley by some 30 points. So another win potentially in New Hampshire could really help Trump knock out the competition here, and that could explain why Trump is campaigning in New Hampshire nonstop, both rallying today as well as for the rest of the week. But his competitors, including Governor Ron DeSantis, are not letting up either. Here's what DeSantis was saying just today. Watch.
Clearly, Trump would have still won. I get that. But I think it was irresponsible. I mean, what's so hard to just wait for people to actually vote?
Meanwhile, Nikki Haley sounding confident today that she could beat Trump in New Hampshire. Watch.
He's in single digits in South Carolina and single digits in New Hampshire. He's been invisible in both states. He is not my concern. I'm going after Trump.
Meanwhile, Vivek Ramaswamy, who dropped out of the race last night and went on to endorse Trump, says he will be joining Trump at tonight's rally in New Hampshire. So while we might not see Vivek holding his own events in New Hampshire anymore, we might see him campaigning together with Trump as he's now trying to convince his base to vote for Trump. Back to you.
And after Trump's landslide victory last night, what do the results mean and how are people reacting? NTD's Ariane Pazdar brings you reaction from officials across the U.S. and what they're saying about Trump's win.
Two presidential candidates already dropped out after former President Trump's landslide victory in Iowa on Monday night. Vivek Ramaswamy and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. In his victory speech, Trump suggested others should do the same thing.
I want to make that a very big part of our message. We're going to come together. It's going to happen soon, too. It's going to happen soon.
Trump seems optimistic that he'll win the Republican nomination, and many would agree. Here is the Democratic governor of Illinois speaking about the results on Tuesday.
Donald Trump, now clearly established as the front runner, may be likely to be the Republican nominee. And so that makes a clearer choice for people. Recognize that, and I've been saying this all along, that the Republican Party is the party of Donald Trump.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott took to Twitter, writing, "Trump wins Iowa by a bigger percentage than any Republican ever. It's over." Representative Lauren Boebert also took to Twitter on Tuesday, saying Trump won't just win the primary, he'll win the general too. And here's talk show host Tucker Carlson commenting on Trump's decisive victory.
Donald Trump won decisively. At this point, it's hard to see how he's not the Republican nominee, because he didn't just win last night. He triumphed overwhelmingly by a historic margin.
President Biden's campaign communication director on Tuesday called Trump the embodiment of the threat to democracy. And he added,
well, look, I think what you saw was turnout wasn't that high in Iowa, and what you saw was Donald Trump consolidate the extreme MAGA base in Iowa. The fact of the matter is he is running, and all these candidates are running on an agenda that's as dangerous as it is unpopular.
Former President Trump is in New Hampshire now, campaigning for the state's primaries. Ariane Pazdar, NTD News.
For the first time in almost 2 years, the nation's capital is seeing more than an inch of snow, shutting down D.C. schools and federal offices. Congress, however, is on a tight deadline with a government shutdown looming just 3 days from now. NTD's Melina Wisecup reports from the nation's capital.
Federal employees got an extended holiday here in Washington, D.C. with the snowy weather. The city recorded 3.6 inches of snow, with some surrounding areas recording anywhere from 2 to 6 inches, leaving some areas on the roads slick. And these lower temperatures lingering overnight may keep this frozen snow around a little longer. This snowy weather has turned the White House's daily press briefing virtual, and the House has delayed votes until tomorrow. But the Senate can't afford a snow day. That's because the first round of federal government funding runs out this Friday, and the chamber usually takes longer to pass legislation than the House. Senators still moving ahead with a vote this evening on a continuing resolution. That is a resolution that will extend government funding for the next 40 days. This will be the third time that Congress has kicked the can down the road on funding during this fiscal year, and the House will have to take it up after the Senate, where it's sure to face some pushback from some conservative Republicans. Now, this leaves Speaker Johnson no choice but to rely on Democrat votes to get it across the finish line, a move that cost former Speaker Kevin McCarthy his job. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
And on Capitol Hill this afternoon, a group of pro-Palestinian protesters were arrested. Capitol Police zip-tied the wrists of around 150 protesters at the Cannon Rotunda. This according to the group. This is the latest of several such protests taking place at the Capitol and White House over the past few months. Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.